So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please let me know if you're hearing me clearly.
I am hearing you clearly.
Okay, great.
Yes,
All
I
right,
am.
okay, great. So good afternoon again. Please let me welcome each and everyone to our webinar session, Retirement Planning, and we are at series 3. Over the couple of weeks, we have done retirement planning 1, series 1 and 2. Today we have 3. For series 1, we had session done by Mrs. Kathy and Thomas Elburn and Mrs. Patricia Reed Waugh, and we focus on retirement planning that starts now as we start working, and also we should find things to do while we are drawing closer to retirement. Also, we had Mr. Jovan Codlin, who spoke to us on investment planning, budgeting. So everything that should deal with the financial aspect of the retirement planning. Now, today we'll be focusing on retirement planning and mental health, right? And so we just want to welcome each and every one of you guys on Zoom and also by our YouTube channel. Today's session will be conducted by Mrs. Sandra Percy Smith. So Mrs. Sandra Percy Smith is a board-certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, owner of Mind Rest Psychiatry and Mental Health Services, Panama City, Florida. Former adjunct professor at the Nova Southeastern University College of Nursing and Chamberlain University College of Nursing in Florida. She's also a former assistant lecturer at the University of the West Indies School of Nursing and a staff nurse, unit manager, and departmental manager at Bellevue Hospital, Kingston, Jamaica. She holds a BSN from UTech, a Master of Science in Nursing from UWI, and a postmaster's certification from Regis University in Massachusetts, USA. She volunteers on various church committees. Has 2 adult children. One is a software engineer, and the other is currently completing her DNP in psychiatry, mental health, and nurse practitioner degree. She enjoys swimming, gardening, athletics, and just spending time in nature. Favorite food is a tree-ripened East Indian mango. Personal mantra, God is good all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Mrs. Sandra Percy Smith. Mrs. Smith, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Hi, good afternoon to you. It's good to be back. Hi, everybody. As you heard, thanks so much for the introductory statements. I'm glad to be with you again this afternoon. And this afternoon, we're just going to be sharing, and I will be reminding you of some of the things you already know. How to mentally prepare for retirement. The focus is going to be on preparation mentally for retirement. At this time, I'd like to share my screen with you so we can jump right into it. Oh, can you see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Can you see my screen clearly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's begin. I'm not sure. I'm not. Okay, all right. So an elderly gentleman walks into an upscale cocktail lounge. He's in his mid-80s, well-dressed, well-groomed, great-looking outfit, champagne glass in hand and smelling of expensive aftershave. Seated at the bar is a classy-looking lady in her mid-70s. She is, the gentleman walks over and sits beside her. He orders a drink and he takes a sip. And he slowly turns to the lady and says, "So, tell me, do I come here often?" It's really paradoxical that the idea of living a long life appeals to everyone, but the idea of getting old does not appeal to anyone. The Roman philosopher and political theorist suggest that a wise man is one who submits to the dictates of nature and passes through the vicissitudes of life with a tranquil mind. He continues to say, "It is foolish to tear one's hair in grief as though sorrow would be made less by baldness." In essence, retirement is a certainty and cannot be wished away. Do we agree? It is a certainty, it cannot be wished away. So, in light of all of that, we need to prepare, correct? And the best time to start thinking about your retirement is before the boss does. To better understand why this mental preparation is important, let's examine some of the benefits of employment. So, what's the benefits of working? According to Canada, 2023, after spending so much of our lives, you and I, our lives receiving financial compensation in return for our efforts, we must face the loss of this simple one-to-one relationship. You see, our jobs is not just a source of financial security. Think about it. Our jobs, your job, mine, is or are major catalyst for social interactions, correct? And also the joys of accomplishment. Think about those lunch hour conversations that you look forward to daily. And those relationships that were generated in those same lunchrooms and offices at work. In addition, think about how you felt when your student or your client, your patients, did well. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. So employment also keeps us busy and helps us to maintain a consistent daily schedule. So we looked at why jobs are important. But with retirement, these benefits at minimum, they change. And for many, they fade. It's important to note that retirement not only leads to the loss of roles we mentioned, but it also means freedom from work-related stress. And Wong 2011 refers to it as the beginning of the third age. Third age. And of course, we know that globally, the population is aging rapidly. Between 2015 and 2050, the proportion of the world's population over 60, and that's maybe a lot of us who are currently online, the majority of the world's population, well, I wouldn't say the majority, it says between 12 and 22% of the world's population. That's about a quarter will be over 60 years old. That's a lot. So how do we mentally prepare for this third age? How do we? Hurtado 2019 suggests that preparation for retirement is a multi-dimensional construct. And they define it as the thoughts. So the thoughts and the behaviors that are aimed at things that we do to promote good health, or goals, promote good health and provide financial security, adapt our lifestyles, and ensure that we have gratifying rewards in retirement. Another study on retirement adjustment found that preparation activities contribute to or predict adjustment. So it depends on how prepared you are. Then you can adjust either negatively or positively. So do you want to be prepared? I think you do. We also evaluated relationship between retirement preparation and depressive symptoms. So another study evaluated this retirement preparation and depressive symptoms. I know what they found. They found that for participants who are not prepared for retirement had increased depression scores. In addition, individuals who are not prepared for retirement and who had low household income had the highest increase in depression scores. That's important to note. Depression, retirement, are they related? Maybe, maybe not. The fact that post-work depression is recognized as a serious issue means that everyone can and should consider managing the retirement blues, quote unquote, before they happen. So your mental health should be one of the many areas that is factored into someone's retirement planning, just similarly to the way we accumulate funds for retirement. Because what? We may have the funds, but we may be unhappy. You know, a former CEO who is now retired, he said, and his name is Robert Delamontagne, a retired CEO in Canada. He said, I didn't know if it was depression or what. I was lethargic, aimless, bored. I felt some kind of psychological pressure inside of me, like a malaise. And he also said, I started feeling weird emotions. You know, I had a hard time adjusting to this new life. I went from going 100 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour. Quite an adjustment, don't you think? Some people may be okay with saying retiree, but others will be happier if they strive to define a post-retirement identity, if you may, that would provide structure to their days and meaning to their lives. So this afternoon, you know, we'd like to talk some more about, our focus is going to be, as I said, preparing mentally. Or what does that look like practically? You know, too much of our free time can trigger anxiety, when structure and routine are removed. For those persons who are more routine oriented and very structured, you may ask, what am I going to do today when the structure and the routine has been removed? So today we're going to be put together a retirement portfolio, an emotional retirement portfolio. And I hope you do already have one, but if you don't, it's a good time to start. And if you already has one, then you may be able to identify some of the items in this portfolio that you could add to yours. So the question is, what does your psychological portfolio for retirement look like? Do you have one? Your financial portfolio may include some stocks and bonds or your pension package. And you may know exactly what you're going to be getting at the end per month, per year, per week, bi-weekly, whatever is individualized for you. But what does your psychological portfolio look like? So in the years leading up, from your regular 9 to 5, many people focusing on preparing their finances, as we mentioned before. But it's important to rebalance your emotional portfolio. And a recent study at the Northwestern Mutual called Money Can't Buy Happiness, it is suggested that this is an important part of it should be an important part of your retirement package. In an article published in the USA Today, October 2013, which is some time ago, in New York City, Nancy Schlossberg, she's a professor of counseling at the University of Maryland. She retired at 67, and she thought it would be smooth sailing. It wasn't. She said, it took me a while to figure out who I was. It was a difficult transition. At first, I literally couldn't say the words, I am retired. So, who are you? Who am I? And this is the question that you could add to your emotional portfolio. Who are you? So, who you are is your identity. It's who you are to yourself and to the world. You can think of it as what you put on your business card or your tagline under your email signature. So for example, if you're a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, you're a school principal, a teacher, it's very easy to say that. And people get a picture of who you are. And if you're a chef, a plumber, a carpenter, people still get an idea of who you are when you say, that is my job, that is who I am, okay? If you're a painter, a musician, online content creator, engineer, artist, that's part of your identity. One man who retired as CEO of a Fortune 100 company had plenty of money for his retirement, but he said his retirement felt hollow because he hadn't thought about his new identity. So for your portfolio, remember to slip a piece of paper or create a journal and try to articulate who you think you are, or who you are, really. It may also be helpful to have a second identity. Early in his career, John Gottman, who is a founder of the Gottman Institute, which is a center that is devoted to the study of successful marriages, he believed that the best predictor of happiness in retirement would be a robust second identity outside of work. So, for example, if you are a mechanic and you sang on the church choir on weekends, then the pain of the loss of one identity would be dulled by the full emergence of the second. And as I said, you maybe wouldn't be feeling it so much. So, another thing for your portfolio. What is my second identity? Do I have one? In addition to the divergence of identity, the concept of self-expansion emerges, which Tomlinson et al. 2020 defines as a process that involves broadening the self through new experiences, through new skills and perspectives. So expanding the self or self-expansion takes us outside our comfort zones and stretches us a little or more or much, guiding us along, to see new facets of ourselves and to discover fresh elements of the human experience. So I'm asking you the question this afternoon: how have you expanded yourself recently? Or have you expanded yourself recently? Put that in your portfolio. Identify a way in which you could self-expand and explore that part of you. You may be surprised. Self-expansion has not been extensively studied in the context of retirement, according to Tomlinson and Company 2020. But however, it has been positively associated with relationship satisfaction, with life satisfaction, with subjective happiness and personal growth. So strong self-expansion skills include things like the ability to make new friends or to pick up new interests, but interests that require dedicated learning, like learning to play a new instrument, learning to paint, learning to write, to do some decorating. And don't worry so much about it. You can do it. What is your purpose? Is another area that we can look at. And it's pretty similar to your identity. It's related to your identity. So it's what gets you get up in the morning. What gets you up in the morning? It's your passion. And this can take some time, for you to sort out. And you may have several different purposes, missions during your years. Schlossberg says you can ask yourself what you wish you had done in your life and turn that into a new focus. She said in her research, one woman said to me, I help organizations develop mission statements, but I don't have a mission statement myself. So I'm asking you now, what is your mission statement? Do you have one? On screen, you're seeing mine. And I developed this mission statement pretty quickly. What I did was, I just told ChatGPT what I like doing, and it formulated one for me. So you can do the same thing yourself. And how I came about with my mission statement, it said my mission is to enhance mental health through compassionate, evidence-based care, fostering a supportive environment for individuals to achieve their fullest potential and promote overall well-being. That's my mission statement. And my mission statement goes beyond work. If you notice the word, it says enhance mental health. It didn't mention patients. I'm a clinician, but for me, mental health is way beyond just caring for my patients. It is my entire outlook on life. It's the way I interact with people, at home, in my community, at church, wherever I am. I am very mentally aware. I don't allow persons to get under my skin. For those persons who know me well, neither do I get under anybody else's skin without their permission. Okay, so it's important for you to formulate your mission statement, and that should be a part of your portfolio. So another important focal point is strengthening your relationships. So, you know, Dan Buettner, who is the author of Blue Zones, he said, and this is a book dedicated to uncovering the secrets of longevity. He says, loneliness has the potential to shave 8 years off of your life. That is, I'm sure the research that he did, I'm not sure what the different variables were, but that was his findings. And another study done by National Institute of Health found an association of loneliness with all-cause mortality. All-cause mortality. Weaver from the Harvard School of Public Health said there's something about relationships, social connectedness, community life that is central to what it is to be human, what it is to flourish. So strengthen your relationships, and that should be a part of your portfolio, your emotional portfolio. What does your relationships, what do they look like now? And what are they going to look like in a few years as you approach retirement? So consider your relationships. Think about how you want to fill your days, right? You need to include people you're going to be spending time with. If you're a couple, talk about what each other wants from retirement and plan activities that you can enjoy together. Because when you leave work, you often lose touch with people that were once a part of your everyday life. So it's important to develop new relationships, new communities. You might want to do that by just volunteering, join those departments at church, going to a health club, or even hanging out at a local park, wherever you are. It's a great time. It's also a great time to spend time with your grandchildren. Another thing is to find your tribe. Whether it's your church tribe, your walking tribe, your work tribe, people who share those interests with you, people who share similar interests in those areas. Remember, the size of the tribe is unique to you. So some persons like a big tribe. Some persons, your tribe may just be 2. So, and find your tribe, the ones that make you feel the most, the ones that lift you up and help you remember who you really are. The ones that remind you that a blip on the road is just that, a blip. They're the ones that when you walk out of a room, they make you feel like a better person than when you walked in. They're the ones that even if you don't see them face to face as often as you'd like, you see them heart to heart. You know that kind of tribe? That kind of tribe. Yes. So who is your tribe? That should be a part of your portfolio. Who is my tribe? As we talk about relationships, it's important to understand that even as couples, we may want different things. We may love each other, but our perspectives may be different, and how we see life may be different. So when you retire and you're spending so much time together, that may be a challenge that you need to think about pre-retirement. And COVID-19 proved that. It absolutely did. Now there is a huge study. It's called the University of Michigan Health and Retirement Study. And it's a longitudinal panel study that surveys a sample of approximately 20,000 persons in the US. It is supported by the National Institute on Aging and the Social Security Administration. So it's a well-known, as I said, it's now in its 33rd year, I think. It's a national project now in its 33rd year. And one of the findings of the study, which is extremely important, is that the study found that an unhappy marriage predicts unhappiness in retirement more than declines in wealth or even health. And I'm going to read it again. An unhappy marriage predicts unhappiness in retirement more than declines in wealth or even health. So as you think about mentally, as you mentally prepare for retirement, what does your marriage look like? Or if you're thinking about getting married, what does that look like? And what will that look like post-retirement? So as a part of your portfolio, you should be saying, strengthen my marriage, or you decide. And your relationship with your partner may change because probably you'll be, as I said before, you'll probably be spending a lot more time together. And sometimes too much togetherness causes people to get on each other's nerves for minor things. So couples may need to renegotiate some new ground rules, Yeah, another important aspect is our time. And most of us say, oh, I'm dying to retire because you know what? I'm going to have lots of time. I don't have any time now, and I'm going to be loving my time. And so you should. And so, it's important. But in a candid conversation on moneytalk.com, Don Sutton suggests that too much free time can trigger anxiety. We mentioned that before, when structure and routine are removed. And I'm repeating that. Because it introduces more uncertainty into a person's day. And for those persons who have type A personalities and you're always on the go, you're likely to ask, what am I going to do today? And in interview, persons report that, okay, I planned to exercise a lot, but then I found that I went to the gym for an hour. Then I had the rest of the day available, not knowing what to do with it. So the impact of changes, this was a research, and it was Oles et al. 2018. They investigated the impact of changes in time use on mental health following retirement. They followed up 105 participants from 6 months before retirement to 12 months after retirement. And they suggest that there are strong associations between the use of time and our health, and more so our mental health. So if we use our time well, that may improve our mental health. And they're advising or recommending that retirees should be encouraged to become more physically active, to sleep more, and to reduce screen time. So, in the context of planning for the transition to retirement, what does the prospect of more time mean for someone who was just left tongue-tied? Well, in the context of retirement, what does the prospect of more time mean for someone who has just lost a life partner, for example? Or for someone whose physical abilities have been irrevocably altered because of an amputation or a disease or an illness. Time, a lot of time may mean something different for that individual. So can we then hypothesize that enjoyment of time or the time in retirement depends on your health and your relationships? So, next item on your portfolio. In your portfolio, how will you spend your time? We're winding down. This is a study that was conducted. It was a qualitative study, and it investigated the retirement experiences of women academics. It was a qualitative study. And these are some of the findings. It was conducted by Cahill et al. 2021. One participant, who was a professor, described the negative impact of mandatory retirement. She said, her name was Annie, she says, "Paid work has been the essence of my being. Retiring, from my point of view, was an entire negative. It was depriving me of the things which gave meaning and enjoyment and which I was good at." She described her gradual acceptance of having to retire at 65 years of age afterwards, though. And then she says, the meaning of retirement hasn't changed, but my acceptance of it has changed a little. And I suppose that's because I've been able to continue to publish. So publishing gave her life meaning after post-retirement. Another experience was for persons who are experiencing boredom. No, she says, let me back up a little. One person said, "I was fortunate that I was involved in external activities that I could continue with like giving talks here and there, evaluating there, and those have opened up all sorts of avenues for me." That was Margaret, because she continued to work in academia and related areas, and her external professional connections that she had fostered before she retired facilitated her desire to continue working. You know, two retired academics who retreated from academia to focus their time on pursuing leisure interests instead said, I'm interested in art and gardening, and now I can actually develop this other side of me, which has probably had to play a second role before. So there are different perspectives on how all these women in academia related or thought about retirement. And as we get to a close, the mental health before and after retirement. This study was the Journals of Gerontology, and it found that retirement was generally beneficial for health. However, the association between retirement and mental health depended on the context individuals retired from. So, some general tips that we can take away as we prepare for retirement is start taking supplements. Are you currently taking supplements? Put that in your portfolio. There are specific supplements that are significantly, that research has found that helps with mental health, nervous systems generally, like vitamin D, vitamin B12, like omega-3 fatty acids. We want to use helpful options, so brain and memory boosters, for example, collagen, as we mentioned earlier, and take a daily multivitamin formulated especially for persons over 60 or 65. And you can find those, if you research, you can find those. And a lot of us don't like to take multivitamins. We buy them and we place them and we forget about them on our kitchen counters, but take them. Okay? Give up bad habits. If you've been smoking, quit smoking. Quit drinking alcohol or things that are not good for you. Kick the habits and kick them early before you get to retirement. Be realistic. One of the worst things you can do in retirement is really have a plan that is nowhere near your financial situation. For example, if you're living paycheck to paycheck right now and you're thinking of taking vacations when you retire, it's not going to be possible. You're going to be living with a less than average salary, or less than you currently get. So you won't be able to take those vacations, but don't be sad. You can tweak your plans based on your abilities. Okay? So be realistic. Think about how you'll deal with setbacks. And those setbacks could be related to your health, depreciation in your health, losing family members, having to be primary caregivers. Think about how you're going to be handling those setbacks and have a plan for that. And include those as a part of your portfolio as well. Get surgeries and treatments done early. Utilize the health insurance you have right now, because the insurance may not be as sturdy, if that's the right word, afterwards. So use them now. Do that surgery, replace that knee, replace that hip, whatever you want to do, if it's needed, because the older you get, the more challenged you are with those with recoveries. Okay. Declutter, downsize. As I'm not sure, I don't know what the research says, but I get a general feeling, and it could be anecdotal, that as Caribbean people, let me say that, or maybe I'm closer to Jamaica, so I say that we tend to upsize when we retire. We think of building a bigger house and buying a bigger car and so on, when that may not be the ideal situation. You may find yourself in a huge home, and being alone. So as much as possible, downsize. Make your peace and move on. So forgive those who have hurt you. We know it has been bad, but forgive and forget. It's important to do that for your own peace of mind, for your own mental health. Persons have done you harm, they have hurt you, but move on. What are the perks of growing older? You find it easier to speak your mind. You try less to impress other people. You feel more confident. You care less about other person's opinions, don't you? And as you get old, three things happen. The first is your memory getting bad, and I can't remember the other two. And always remember, getting older is a blessing. It means you didn't die younger. And last but not least, remember, God's retirement plan is out of this world. Thank you so much. These are my references.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sandra Percy-Smith. It was a very enlightening presentation. Retirement, must start our retirement planning before our bosses starts it. I know that hit me real hard. And we focus on time. You mentioned time so much, because we might hear thinking that, hey, we have a lot of time. There was something the presentation say, using the time, waste it wisely. And I just want to implore everybody, if we are wasting our time, ensure that it's being wisely done and it's beneficial, as when we reach the time for retirement, we're not in the position where we're thinking we are so depressed, we have those symptoms of depression, because at that time it will be probably too late. So we really want to thank you for your presentation today. We'll open the floor for questions for persons who have questions or want to ask Ms. Percy-Smith for anything. Also, just a reminder, persons who do not have their full name displayed, I'm going to ask you to use the time to correct it, get your name, the full name displayed. So in order for us to award the certificates at the end. Floor is now open for questions. See your hand, Mrs. Garrett. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Madam Percy-Smith, Miss I love it. I just have a quick question though, because I was literally hanging on to every word of the portfolio. Can you start your portfolio before you get to retirement?
Absolutely. So that's what we said. Start it now.
Got it.
That's right. Similarly to how you have started your financial portfolio. Most of us are involved in pension plans, and we're saving towards retirement. So should your emotional portfolio begin right now.
Thank you. And just a quick follow-up. That means it also gives us the option when we do get to retirement to look back at it or to revise as we go along and see what we need to adjust.
Yeah, it's pretty dynamic.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Siobhan, you still taking questions?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, what I wanted to ask, a very good presentation, Ms. Smith. I really enjoyed it. What I wanted to ask was, do y'all have those statistics in the Caribbean particularly, but if not, on mental disorders as relates to persons who are now retired?
I am not sure. Thanks for the question. Thank you so much for the question. I am not sure that the statistics are available, or even if research has been done that extensively. Maybe that's something that we could investigate as a University of the West Indies, and that could also be a focus for further studies. because it's an important focus. Because globally it shows the global research, or maybe especially in the US, shows that depression may be more evident in the earlier parts of retirement. No, in the later parts. Let me back up. Initially, persons enjoy and are happy initially, but then as the years go by, post-retirement, then the symptoms emerge.
Thank you. Did they say the reasons? Persons gave any reasons as to why?
For some of the same reasons why we mentioned earlier. Improper preparation. So the research showed in one of the slides that not preparing mentally can contribute to depression, because then things that took you by surprise, like illnesses, of course, you're not prepared for that. Finances, you may not be prepared for that. And you know, those things, but adequate preparation can delay or even eliminate and decrease depressive symptoms.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Percy Smith.
Sorry, Zeta, before you go, Daisy is first.
Oh,
then
Daisy's
Lillian,
first.
then
Okay.
Zeta.
All right.
Go ahead, Dr. Daisy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Mrs. Smith, I am so grateful for this presentation. I am recently retired, and I have not had a portfolio. So it's not a question really, but a comment. I just want to say that the tiredness after you have retired, immediate retirement, is real. It's so real. It took me 1 year of not being able to sleep properly. You know, you have all of these little symptoms going and you're wondering what is wrong with you. And even though you have a plan as to all the things that you're going to do in your retirement, like you said, some people are praying for retirement. It is one of my thing that was happening. I was just praying to get into retirement and didn't realize how very tired I was from work. And then coming out of academia, there are these loads of paper to get rid of. What to keep, what to throw out, would I need it again? And this is the thing that has been happening for the past year and a half. And you know, you're still wondering, when am I going to get the time to do the things I want to do? Of course, I've gotten in the exercise regime. I've gotten in some traveling. I am, still teaching online classes only. But there are still things that I know that I want to do. And I still, at this point, not finding the time because of that, tiredness that came from all those years of what I must say, hard work. So this is something I think we need to look at and see how we can kind of bring it down a little when we are getting into retirement, because you're going to have to use up so much of your retirement time just to catch yourself, catch your breath, to get back into things again. So that's the point I wanted to make from a personal standpoint. And thank you again.
You're welcome.
Hi, good evening. Oh,
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. McDonald.
thank you. Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for this presentation. I especially enjoyed the tips that you gave at the end. And what Miss Daisy just said a while ago kind of hinted to what you indicated about us preparing our portfolio even now. So we tend to really go hard at it and continuously work. And I hear a lot being spoken about the work-life balance. And I think that too is important as we go along. Sometimes we really delve so much into work and trying to balance everything, and we really don't take that time to slow down, unwind, and all of that. So I'm really, really happy for this presentation. My question is, I saw the slides as it relates to women in academia, I don't know if before I joined, if you had shared anything as it relates to the male, in terms of, male being the one who is the provider, and, just the whole build out of men being in that kind of frame. When they go into retirement, are there any studies that indicate that it may have impacts on them even more than women?
So that's an interesting question. Thank you for that question, because the study on depression that we did that found that depressions to be higher, the study also found that it was higher in men. And that was a little surprising for me, because normally mental health problems are based on research. We find that women are more likely to be depressed when we're talking about depressive symptoms. So the study found that men were more likely to be depressed post-retirement. And yeah, but it was a study in the US. And the results may be similar in the Caribbean, but maybe we could do some more studies to, just to identify whether that is true or not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Percy Smith, before I ask my question, based on the last question, do you have any idea what would cause that for men to be more depressed, based on your research and your experience with working with them?
So, as I said, clinically, women report, well, let me say that, women report more depressive symptoms. Men may be depressed, but not report it. But in this study, they found that men were more likely to be depressed post-retirement. And maybe you could, this is anecdotal, of course, but maybe you could think of a man who is older is definitely not able to manage as well as a woman who is older by herself. So, and I don't want to be biased to the men who are in the group, but men who are older and alone are less likely to manage well than a woman who is older and alone. What do you think? What do you think? I'm asking, do you think that's, and I'm saying it anecdotally, but I've, based on my clinical experience and based on, interaction with persons, older men tend to be more dependent on, relationships. And if their partner, for example, dies, if they're alone, which can happen very frequently as you get older, you lose friends, you lose partners, then I'm not sure, but that could be a possibility why, the men were more depressed in that area. And I'm not sure if they, that was a confounding variable.
Okay.
I am more inclined to agree with you, because historically, men, because they have their lifelong partners, they tend to create a more lasting and deeper bond, talking to that person, that one person, all their lives. And as they age, as you rightly said, they lose their friends, so they don't go to the bar anymore, or they don't go to the club or to the football match, those things. They don't do those things anymore. So as they age, their partners and the persons that they talk and interact with becomes their lifelong partners. So when they lose that arm of themselves, because it's losing like losing an arm of themselves, they tend to become internalize their feelings, their emotions, they become less expressive. And so when that happens, unless somebody who knows the sort of person that they are to identify these symptoms, then they'll stay there and sometimes wilt.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, let me ask my question now. Anyway, Mrs. Percy Smith, you probably won't remember me, but I was teaching in the BSN program when you were doing your master's at UWI. Know your aunt very well,
Who is speaking?
Maureen.
Oh, Mrs. Mulrain, of course.
Anyway, thank you for that very excellent presentation. Now I'm going to ask a question about retirement. You know, as nurses, very often we don't retire, we retire, especially now that we are so short-staffed. But sometimes when persons retire, people who do not know what you're doing think that you have a lot of time on your hands and everybody's asking you to do this, do that, assist with that, speak at this person, volunteer here, and they don't realize that you are also tired. You're also probably, you're also still working, and you're trying to download at the same time. Don't what you get rid of stuff, which is very hard. Every time I try to get rid of stuff, I put them in a box and they put right back where they were. You know, you don't know what you're going to use. So how do you deal with persons who are always inviting you to do things, participate in things, thinking you have so much time on your hands? And as somebody says, they have no idea how exhausted you are all the time.
Okay, so thanks for that question, Mrs. Mulrain. It's important to know your limits. And as you said, you're retiring. So it's important to understand your limits physically and mentally and be able to say no. And one of the perks of going old is that you are not afraid to speak your mind. You are less likely to worry about what other persons think about you because you have heard it and said it. And I'm not simplifying the situation. What I'm saying is say no. You know, say no and respect the fact that your body is just not able to do as much as before. And you may not even if you're able to do it, you may just not want to do it.
Yeah.
Anymore. You just don't want to. You want to be able to do what you want to do. And that's why you're retiring. So say no.
Okay, good, thanks. And then you become stressed out if you take on too many things.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. I think that's it for question and answer. Once again, thank you very much, Mrs. Percy Smith. Thank you to all our participants. I'll hand over to our president to do our closing remarks.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Alia?
Sorry, Javon, I was a little busy. What did you say?
I was just asking if you could give the closing remarks.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, for your informative presentation. I hope that all of us would take the points, the information that you guys provided, as well as the strategies and interventions on how to improve our mental health, not only waiting until retirement, but starting from now to be equipped and prepared for when we do retire. Because I have some time to go. I got, I had less than 30 years more to go, God's best life, if all goes well. So I would like to start from early, and I don't have no problem saying no to certain things. No comes easy for me, especially when I can't do it. So yes, we need to learn to, know our limitations. That's very important. Know our limitations, and try to take care of us. Self-care is so important. So I definitely believe in self-care, because if I'm sick and I still can't come to work, they still can find somebody to work anyway. So it won't matter. So hopefully in retirement, we don't be so exhausted and we're still working. So, I want to gracefully transition into retirement, and mental health is so important as relates to this topic, because there are so many times when persons, go into that state of depression because they didn't really get to accomplish what they needed to accomplish, and time is now winding down. So hopefully that we can start our portfolios and work on those portfolios to gracefully transition into retirement, or if we're now into retirement, move in I guess, a smarter way of doing so. So thank you so much. And we definitely, on behalf of the Omega Kappa chapter, we say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to present on the topic for us. We do greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. As for everyone else, thank you for attending this last or finale of the retirement webinar series. Look out for your CNE contact hours that will be sent from our application that we're using, Certifier. So please make sure that you check your inbox, spam, or junk mail in case it happens to go in one of those folders. It should be sent out by when I get back off vacation. So that will be at the end of September. All right. So thank you so much for coming to our webinar series. And let's all just transition into retirement effectively, smoothly, efficiently. Thank you so much. Siobhan, thank you so much for moderating our session this evening. I know you had some stuff to do, but thank you for, making a special effort to moderate this session. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening.